ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। नारायणं नमस्कृत्य नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जयमुदीरयेत्। नष्टप्रायेषु भद्रेषु नित्यं भागवत सेवया भगवती उत्तमश्लोके भक्तिर्भवति नैष्टकी। ओम अज्ञानतिमिरान्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। नमो विष्णुपादाय कृष्णप्रेष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्तस्वामिनिति नामिने। नमस्ते सारस्वते देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेषशून्यवादि पाश्चात्य देशतारिणे। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवासादि गौरभक्तवृंद। हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 7, Chapter 6, Verse 26. Dharmartha kama itiyo vihitas ईक्षात्रयीनयदमौ विविधा च वार्ता मन्येतदेतदखिलं निगमस्य सत्यं स्वात्मार्पणं स्वः सुहृदः परमस्य पुंसः. Religion, economic development, and sense gratification. These are described in the Vedas as three varga, or three ways to salvation. With these three categories, within these three categories are education and self-realization. Ritualistic ceremonies performed according to Vedic injunction, logic, the science of law and order, and the various means of earning one's livelihood. These are external subject matters of the study in the Vedas, and therefore I consider them material. However, I consider surrender to the lotus feet of Lord Vishnu to be transcendental. So all activities of Dharmartha Kama. So there are different categories being mentioned here. Dharmartha Kama iti abhihitaha trivargaha iksha. So one is self-realization, then ritualistic ceremonies, then Nyaya or Nyaya logic, then Dhammo, science of law and order, then Vividha Varta, different means of earning one's livelihood. These are all external subject matters. They are all material. However, I consider surrender to the lotus feet of the law of Lord Vishnu to be transcendental. These instructions of Prahlad Maharaj stress the transcendental position of devotional service as confirmed in Bhagavad Gita. Mamcha yovyabhicharena bhakti yogena sevate sagunan samatityaitan brahmabhuyaya kalpate. Avyabhicharena bhakti yogena. Avyabhicharena means single focus, single-minded, or not distracted, or full devotional service. That's what here it's being translated. One who engages in full devotional service, who does not fall down in any circumstances. One who serves Mam, one who serves me, Sagunan Samatityajan. He transcends the modes of material nature. Brahma Bhuyaya Kalpate comes to the level of Brahman. So this is the answer to the question. Traigunya Vishaya Veda Nistraigunya Bhavarjuna. How to transcend the three modes. How to transcend the three modes? Mamcha yo abhyabhicharena bhakti yogena. So this verse Prabhupada translates as without fail. Yeah. Unfailing. Ahaituki apratihata. And full devotional service. Bhakti yogena, Prabhupada is translating as full devotional service. So one who engages in full devotional service, not part devotional service, and who does not fall down in any circumstance. Does not fall down, meaning does not bring down his devotion in any circumstance. Temporarily, there could be some temporary fall downs. Maybe somebody is unwell, etc. Their spiritual practices might go down slightly. but then again spring back. But if there is a consistent fall down, that's called fall down. Of course, in the stage of Nishta, even the temporary fall downs don't happen. In Anartha Nivritti stage, or Anishtita Bhajana, Anishtita meaning it's not fixed, then there will be ups and downs. But when one comes to Nishta, then one does not fall down in any circumstance. He upholds his commitment of devotion, devotional activities, and full devotion. He at once transcends. One who engages in full devotional service does not fall down in any circumstances at once, meaning immediately. It comes to level of Brahman. Now, which means that one who engages in part devotional service, mixed devotional service, they take time to transcend. But the only way to transcend modes of material nature, which is our material propensities, attraction to this material world, etc., aham, mama, all this, one can transcend by engaging in full devotional service without coming down in any circumstance, unfailing. So again, like I said, this is called Nishtha and otherwise called Mukti. Brahma Bhuvaya Kalpate. One who fully engages in the devotional service of the Lord is immediately raised to the transcendental position, which is the Brahmabhuta stage. Brahma Bhuyaya, Brahmabhuta, Mukti, all of these are the same. Any education or activity not on the Brahmabhuta platform, the platform of self-realization, is considered to be material. And Prahlad Maharaj says that anything material cannot be the absolute truth, for the absolute truth is on the spiritual platform. And so if our any knowledge or activity, if it is not on the spiritual platform, it is not on the Brahmabhuta platform, meaning if it is not on the platform of self-realization, meaning on the platform of soul, it's material. It's also confirmed by Krishna in Bhagavad Gita, Traigunya Vishya Veda Nistraigunya Bhavajana. So raise above the modes. To act on the material platform, even if one's activities are sanctioned by the Vedas, is not the ultimate goal of life. This is dharma. Activities sanctioned by Vedas means dharma. Activities not sanctioned by Vedas means adharma or vikarma. That's not the ultimate goal of life. That's the path to the ultimate goal. So that's a step in the right direction. The ultimate goal of life is to stay on the spiritual platform. Fully surrender to the Parama Purusha, Supreme Person. Stay on the, not just going to the spiritual platform and coming down. This is the ultimate goal. You have to stay on the spiritual platform. This is the object of the human mission. In summary, the Vedic ritualistic ceremonies and injunctions are not to be discontinued, counted. They are means of being promoted to the spiritual platform. So they will bring, because the whole idea of Varnashrama is Vishnu Aradhyate. So they will bring one to the spiritual platform. But if one does not come to the spiritual platform and simply waste time, Vedic ceremonies are simply a waste of time. Bhagavatam says, Dharma swanushthita pumsan vishwaksena katasuha notpadayadeti ratim shamayevahi hi kevalam. Dharma swanushthita pumsam. The dharma executed by men, regardless of occupation, meaning what they are not based on their vritti dharma, vritti karma. This is paradharma. If this dharma does not provoke attraction for the message of the Lord, shamayevahi hi kevalam. Vishwaksena katasuyaha. So our dharma, our activities, duties that we are performing should provoke attraction for the message of the Supreme Lord. Vishwaksena kata. If one very strictly performs the various duties of religion but does not ultimately come to the platform of surrendering to the Supreme Lord, his methods of attaining salvation or elevation simply a waste of time and energy. So whatever we do in our life, it should provoke attraction for the message of the Supreme Lord. It should provoke attraction for Shravanam, Bhagavad Gita, Bhagavatam. It should provoke attraction, meaning, first of all, it should provoke attraction, then it must give us time to do Shravanam, to do reading. Otherwise, That dharma, whatever occupation we are doing, is simply useless labor, waste of time. Mm. So the whole process is do dharma, follow dharma, so that to keep body and soul together. And the dharma should also not be vikarmic or ugra karma, so that if one engages in ugra karma, then they will not develop any attraction for the message of the Lord. So it should be as per Shastra as much as possible, or at least it should not be very grossly sinful. Then it will not contaminate us to such an extent that we will not develop attraction for the message of the Lord. So non-sinful activities, for example, somebody is a butcher, these are all grossly sinful. So they're Atmahana, they're called killers of the soul. They will not develop attraction to the message of the Supreme Lord. So it should not be sinful as much as possible. Cheating people, very difficult to develop attraction for message of the Lord. Thieves, robbers, uh, or yeah, generally cheating people. Maybe nowadays everybody is in the business of cheating. Right, so we would do those things will not provoke attraction for the message of the Lord. So it should be as much as possible sattvic activity, sattvic duty. Mm. Then by doing that, one comes to the platform of surrendering. Otherwise, Ramaya Kevalam. So one develops attraction for message of the Lord. By hearing the message of the Lord, one comes to the platform of surrender. Gnanam etadamalam durvapamaha narayano narasakha khila naradaya ekantinam bhagavatastadakincananam padaravinda rajasapluta deyinam syat. Narayana, Supreme Person of Godhead, the well-wisher and friend of all living entities, formerly explained this transcendental knowledge to the great saint Narada. Such knowledge is extremely difficult to understand without the mercy of a saintly person like Narada. But everyone who has taken shelter of Narada's disciplic succession can understand this confidential message. So we're fortunate that we are in this disciplic succession coming from Narada, from Madhva Gaudiya Sampradaya. So we can understand this confidential knowledge. This is confidential because the whole Vedas are just talking about this Traigunya Vishaya. But the actual essence of all this is devotional service. So who can understand this? Only one who has surrendered to a saintly person like Narada can understand this confidential message. It is stated here that this confidential knowledge is extremely difficult to understand, yet it is very easy to understand if one takes shelter of a pure devotee. What difficulty is there to understand this? The goal of life is devotional service. It's very, very easy because we have taken shelter of Srila Prabhupada. Otherwise, the whole world is functioning without knowing the goal of life. This confidential knowledge is also mentioned at the end of Bhagavad Gita, Sarvadharman Parityaja. Abandon all varieties of religion, abandon all duties, whatever various translations Prabhupada has given. Meaning just surrender, meaning nothing, no other activity except devotional service. That's what it means. This knowledge is an extremely confidential secret, but it can be understood if one approaches the Supreme Lord through the bona fide agent, the spiritual master in the disciplic succession from Narada. Now, question might arise saying that, we are hearing this even in ISKCON from bona fide agents, spiritual masters. Still, we're not able to understand it. Still, we add our own speculation to this clear instruction from Krishna. And it's just our contaminated state that, we are just speculating on this. But the instruction is very clear. And unfortunately, when such devotees who have not actually completely accepted this instruction sit on the Vyasasana, then what happens is the message is also transmitted wrongly. Then message comes like saying, yeah, do both your balance material and spiritual life. These kind of messages come, but that's not what Krishna is saying here. There's no question of balancing. There's no material life. It's all only spiritual life. It's only devotional life. That is the reason that one who is allowed to sit on the Vyasasana, that person qualification has to be known before allowing. Not that we give opportunity to sit on Vyasasana as practice. Saying, no, no, you sit on the Vyasasana, you'll get some practice to give classes. No, not on the Vyasasana. Then that person can sit in some small groups, or he can create his own group, or he can record his class, give it to his superiors to comment, etc. But not on the Vyasasana. On the Vyasasana, only those who have actually come to understand the essence of the knowledge that Srila Prabhupada and our acharyas have given, only they can sit on the Vyasasana. Many times we've seen that some misrepresentation happens of all knowledge. Yeah, so could be some our own limitations sometimes. I know some very devotees who've been in the movement for a long time, but still they can't accept some of these instructions. Why? Because they have not been able to implement it in their life. They also dilute it when they're communicating to others. Very scary. Very influential devotees sometimes do this. Prahlad Maharaj wanted to impress upon the sons of the demons that all the such knowledge can be understood only by a saintly person. Only from a saintly person. Okay, by a saintly person. They should not be disappointed. For if one takes shelter of Narada instead of material teachers, this knowledge is possible to understand. Now, first of all, this knowledge is understandable only by saintly persons, and then one who takes shelter of such a saintly person can also understand it. Understanding does not depend upon high parentage, because the saints have realization, and Prabhupada defines what this realization is. Realization is explaining a topic in the way that it can be understood by all classes of people. That is realization, not parrot-like repeating. If one repeats parrot-like, then it might not be able to, people might not be able to understand. So there has to be realization. Realization means one must have experienced the knowledge in their life, right? Tattvadarshinaha. We should have seen the truth. We should have experienced the truth. Of course, we can't experience all truths, like what is experience at the stage of prema or higher stages, but we can talk within our realization. Actually, we should talk within our realization. So then everybody can understand. The living entity is certainly pure on the spiritual platform. Therefore, anyone who attains the spiritual platform by the grace of the spiritual master can also understand this confidential knowledge. Actually, we underestimate this somehow, the grace of the spiritual master. We think that this mercy is freely available. It's not freely available. There is condition that it has to please the spiritual master. Our actions have to please the spiritual master. Ese prasadat bhagavat prasado. And it is absolutely important, because without this, the mercy is not released. Please understand this. See, ultimately, how much ever, devotion we might have done for how many ever years, perfection, of course, even making progress from one stage to another itself is mercy of Krishna, but the last stages require even more mercy. Every stage requires mercy, but ultimately giving prema, Krishna is very reluctant. So who can achieve, who can get the mercy of the Lord? One who has consistently surrendered and followed instructions of spiritual master and pleased him. And I've told this before also. Pleasing the spiritual master doesn't mean that we stand in front of him and brag about our own accomplishments or our own actions. No, that works at a different level. But when when Krishna, when our acharyas in the disciplic succession, everybody see that we are practicing to, we are trying to, yeah, please the spiritual master by our kaya vacha manasa, mind, words, and action, then automatically mercy is released. But we can't demand. At the same time, it comes if there is the grace of the spiritual master. And sometimes devotees think that, okay, my spiritual master smiled at me. It might not mean anything. It might just mean that because you wanted a smile, spiritual master gave you a smile. The whole idea is that, okay, hopefully with that smile and that reciprocation, you will surrender and follow the instructions of Guru. Not that just because he smiled, that means that we have already reached somewhere. And also, that spiritual master did not chastise you doesn't also mean that he's pleased with you. Because sometimes, or most times, gurus are very careful because uh, based on the qualification of the disciples, maybe some disciples will just leave the guru if they're chastised or corrected. Sometimes because of just that concern, not that the guru is afraid of losing a disciple, but he's afraid of losing a soul who's come to him, who needs to be elevated. So sometimes he might not say anything. Doesn't again mean that he is pleased. Very, very important. Only if we are doing actions which are in line with the expectations of spiritual master will he be pleased. So very, very important actually. And we somewhat ignore this aspect. We are just thinking, okay, I'm chanting Hare Krishna, I'm reading, I'm doing services, I will make progress. No. Grace of the spiritual master is required. Sometimes we've seen that some devotees are doing some activities which are seem like part of devotional service, but not approved by Guru. Then they are not going to be able to make progress. Very, very important to note this. Shrutam etanmaya purvam gnanam vijnana samyutam dharmam bhagavatam shuddham naradadeva darshanat. Prahlada continued, I received this knowledge from the great saint Narada Muni, who is always engaged in devotional service. This knowledge, which is called Bhagavata Dharma, is fully scientific. It is based on logic and philosophy and is free from all material contamination. Gnana Vijnana Samyutam. That means there is knowledge and practical knowledge, which is Vijnana. So it is scientific. Scientific means that it can be experienced. And it can be explained by using logic and philosophy and is free from all material contamination. It is Shuddham. Sri Daityaputra Vuchuhu. So Prahlad has been instructing his friends, and his friends are now going to ask him a question. Prarhadatum vayam chapi nartenyam vidmahe gurum etabhyam guruputrabhyam balanam api hishwarau balasyantah purasthasya mahatsango duranvayah chindhi nah samshayam soumya syached visrambhakaranam. So they ask an intelligent question. Dear Prahlada, neither you nor we know any teacher or spiritual master other than Chanda and Amarka. After all, we are children and they are our controllers. For you especially, who always remain within palace because you are the king's son, it is very difficult to associate with a great personality. Dear friend, most gentle one, would you kindly explain how it was possible for you to hear Narada? Kindly dispel our doubts. So they're not challenging. They are asking in a very humble way. And also glorifying him, saying you're such a gentle person. Please, can you explain how it was possible for you to hear Narada? Chapter 7. Srinarada Uvacha Evam Daityasutaiः Prushto Mahabhagavato Shurah Uvachatam Smayamanaha Smaran Madhanubhashitam. Nadmuni said, although Prahlad Maharaj was born in a family of Asuras, he was the greatest of all devotees. Just see, a Guru glorifying disciple. He's saying greatest of all devotees. Having thus been questioned by his class friends, the sons of the Asuras, he remembered the words spoken to him by me and replied to his friends as follows. See, Narada Muni is considering Prahlad Maharaj even greater than himself, greatest of all devotees. When he was in the womb of his mother, Prahlada listened to the words of Narada. One cannot imagine how the baby in embryo could hear Narada, but this is spiritual life. Progress in spiritual life cannot be obstructed by any material condition. Please note this. Now, it's such a important statement, right? Even within the womb, one cannot stop material spiritual progress, cannot be obstructed. So many times, Prabhupada used to tell his, Western disciples to sit and hear, even though he was speaking in Hindi and they could not understand. This is called ahitukiya pratihata. Reception of spiritual knowledge is never checked by any material condition. Thus, Prahlad Maharaj from his very childhood spoke spiritual knowledge to his class friends, and certainly it was effective, although all of them were children. It was effective because he had realized it and he had heard also from a great soul, great devotee. Sri Prahlada Uvacha Pitari prasthite smakam tapase mandarachalam uddhyodhyamam param chakrur vibhuda danavan prati. Prahlada said, when our father Hiranyakashipu went to Mandarachala to execute severe austerities, in his absence, the demigods, headed by Indra, made a severe attempt to subdue all the demons in warfare. Pipilikarihi ahir iva dishtya lokopa tapanaha papena papo bhakshiti vadanto vasavadayaha. Alas, as a serpent is eaten by small ants, so the troublesome Hiranyakashipu, who always inflicted miseries upon all types of people, has now been defeated by the reactions of his own sinful activities. Saying this, the demigods headed by King Indra arranged to fight the demons. Defeated by reactions, don't know, maybe because he was doing such a ugra tapas that he was not even visible. So maybe the demigods are saying like that. No commentary on these words. Tesham atibalodyogam nishamyasuran yuthapaha vadhyamana surebhita dudruvu sarvatodisham kalatraputra vittaptan gruhan pashuparichadan navekshamanas sarve prana paripsavaha. When the great leaders of the demons who were being killed one after another saw the unprecedented exertion of the demigods in fighting, they began to flee. Scattering themselves in all directions simply to protect their lives, they hastily fled from their homes, wives, children, animals, and household paraphernalia. Paying no heed to all these, the demons simply fled. Vyalumpan Raja Shibiram Amarajaya Kankshinaha Indrastu Raja Mahishim Mataram Mamachagrahit. The victorious demigods plundered the palace of Hiranyakashipu, king of demons, and destroyed everything within it. Then Indra, king of heaven, arrested my mother, the queen. Niyamanam bhayodvignam rudatim kurarim iva yadruchaya gatastatra devarshir dadrishe patpati. As she was being led, crying in fear like a kurari captured by a vulture. Kurari is a bird. The great sage Narada, who at that time had no engagement, meaning he didn't have any work like us, appeared on the scene and saw her in that condition. Prahanainam surapate netum arhasin anagasam muncha mahabhaga satim paraparigraham. Narada Muni said, O King, O Indra, king of the demigods, this woman is certainly sinless. You should not drag her off in this merciless way. O greatly fortunate one, this chaste woman is the wife of another. You must immediately release her. So Narada Muni is saying, don't ill-treat her, release her. Indruvacha Astesya jhatare viryam abhishahyam turadvishaha asyatam yavat prasavam mokshertha padavim gataha. Indra said, in the womb of this woman, the wife of the demon Hiranyakashipu is the seed of that great demon. Therefore, let her remain in our custody until her child is delivered, and then we shall release her. Indra decided to arrest Prahlad Maharaj's mother because he thought that another demon was within her womb. The best course he thought was to kill the child when the child was born, and then the woman would be released. Narada Vacha Ayam Nishkilbisha Sakshan Ma Mahabhagavato Mahan Tvayana Prapsyate Samstham Anantanucharo Bali. Narada Muni replied, the child within this woman's womb is faultless and sinless. Mother is also faultless and sinless. Child is also faultless and sinless. Indeed, he is a great devotee, a powerful servant of the Supreme Lord. Therefore, you will not be able to kill him. That's what you want to do, but you won't be able to kill him. There have been many instances in which demons or non-devotees have attempted to kill a devotee, but they have never been able to destroy a great devotee of the Supreme Lord. The Lord promises in Bhagavad Gita, Kaunteya prajita pratijanihi name bhakta pranashyati. My devotee will not be destroyed. This is a declaration by the Supreme Lord that his devotee cannot be killed by demons. So we should have this faith. No one can hurt us. No non-devotee, no demons can hurt us. There might be some tests that Krishna might be giving us. But no demons can touch us. Prahlad Maharaj is the vivid example of the truth of this promise. Narada Muni told the king of heaven, it would be impossible for you to kill a child even though they are your demigods, and certainly it would be impossible for others. So Lord declares, Kaunteya pratijanihi, let it be known. Name bhakta pranashyati. My devotee will not be destroyed. Meaning his devotion will not be destroyed. Also. Ityuktastam vihayendro devarshirmanayan vachaha anantapriya bhaktyainam parikramya divam yayau. The great said, Narada had thus spoken. King Indra, being respectful to Narada's words, immediately released my mother. Because of my being a devotee of the Lord, all the demigods circumambulated her. Then they returned to their celestial kingdom. Because of my being a devotee means because Narada is saying that the child in the womb is a devotee, Narada Muni circumambulated her. Although King Indra and the other demigods are exalted personalities, they were so obedient to Narada Muni that King Indra immediately accepted Narada Muni's words concerning Prahlad Maharaj. This is called understanding by the parampara system. Indra and the demigods did not know that a great devotee was in the womb of Kayadhu, the wife of Hiranyakashipu, but they accepted the authoritative statements of Narada Muni and immediately offered their respects to the devotee by circumambulating the woman in whose womb he was living. To understand God and the devotee by the parampara system is the process of knowledge. There is no need to speculate about God and his devotee. One should accept the statements of a bona fide devotee and thus try to understand. And so I've told this before also, don't speculate. If you can't understand something that Prabhupada has written, seems like it's above our pay grade, so to speak, above our stage, above our level, above our adhikara, then we don't speculate. We just keep it for subsequent realization, later realization. Now we know that, okay, I can't understand this statement because this seems that it is beyond my adhikara. I still have to make more progress, then I will be able to understand. And then we just keep those statements aside and not indulge in them, not speculate about them. Tato me mataram rishihi samaniya nijashrame आश्वास्ये होश्य tam vatse yavate agamah. Prahlada continued. The great saint Narada Muni brought my mother to his ashrama and assured her of all protection, saying, my dear child, please remain at my ashrama until the arrival of your husband. So fortunate she was. She got the shelter of Sri Narada Muni. तथेत्यवात्सी देवर्षेरन्तिके सा कुतो भया यावद्दैत्यपतिर्घोरा तपसो न न्यवर्तत. After accepting the instructions of Devarshi Narada, my mother stayed in his care without fear from any direction, as long as my father had not become free from his severe austerities. ऋषिं पर्यचरत् तत्र भक्त्या परमया सती अन्तर्वत्नी स्वगर्भस्य क्षेमायेच्छा प्रसूतये. My mother, being pregnant, desired the safety of her embryo and desired to give birth after her husband's arrival. Thus she stayed at Narada Muni's ashram, where she rendered service unto Narada Muni with great devotion. So she was very fortunate. She was able to serve Narada Muni. And she was waiting for her husband to come back. Bhagavatam says, Matra swasra duhitra va na vivikta sano bhavet balavan indriyagramo vidvam sapi karshati. One should not remain in a secluded place with a woman when even one's mother, sister, or daughter. Nonetheless, although one is strictly prohibited from staying with a woman in secluded place, Narada Muni gave shelter to Prahlada Maharaj's young mother, who rendered service to him with great affection and faith. Does this mean Narada Muni transgressed the Vedic injunctions? Certainly he did not. Such injunctions are intended for mundane creatures, but Narada Muni is transcendental to mundane categories. Of course, we should not think that we are transcendental to mundane categories. So we follow this line. We draw the line. Narada Muni was much above all this. Narada Muni is a great saint and is transcendentally situated. Therefore, although he was a young man, he could give shelter to a young woman and accept her service. He was a young man, meaning he was eternally a young man, spiritually. But he was dealing with a materially young woman. But because he was on a transcendental platform, it didn't matter to him. Haridas Thakur also spoke with a young woman, a prostitute, in the dead of night. But the woman could not deviate his mind. How powerful, how strong. Power of Harinam. Instead, she became a Vaishnavi, a pure devotee by benediction of Haridas Thakur. Ordinary persons, however, should not imitate such highly elevated devotees. Ordinary persons must strictly observe the rules and regulations by staying aloof from the association of women. See, this is the difference between Anukarana and Anusarana. So if you want to copy Narada Muni, then we'll fall down. But if you want to follow in the footsteps of great acharyas, then we follow this and keep distance. No one should imitate Narada Muni or Haridas Thakur. It is said, Vaishnavera Kriya Mudra Vigneya Na Bhujaya. Even if a man is very advanced in learning, he cannot understand the behavior of a Vaishnava. So that is why we should not comment about Vaishnavas. Now, again, we've spoken about this many times, but somehow there is a tendency amongst some devotees to simply comment on other Vaishnavas, looking at what they have done from a material perspective. Very wrong to do that, because we are all engaged in devotional service together with other devotees, and then certain activities have to be done which will be in connection with this material world. Maybe bringing something, maybe taking something, maybe whatever, some service is there to be done. And then if a devotee does not do that as expected, then that person or the devotee who is given that service should not deal with him materially. Of course, there might be some loopholes on the side of the devotee who is trying to do that service. He's not applied himself properly, he was lazy, etc., etc., whatever it is. We should deal with them respectfully, number one. Number two, when we are dealing with more advanced Vaishnavas, we should be very, very careful not to make comments because it's difficult to understand. Why a Vaishnava does what he does is difficult to understand for ordinary people like us. So we better hold ourselves back. But it's our normal, there's a natural propensity. We have ruchi in this, comment about others. But that's not good. Anyone can take shelter of a pure Vaishnava without fear. Therefore, in the previous verse, it has been distinctly said, Devarshir Antike Takuto Bhaya. Kayadu stayed under the protection of Narada without fear from any direction. Similarly, Narada Muni in his transcendental position stayed with young women without fear of deviation. Of course, stayed with means what? It's not that they were staying in the same kutir or anything like that. But still, there might be some instances when she came to serve him when he was alone like that. Because ashrama and then elsewhere it said that Narad Muni actually handed her over to the other elderly women in the ashram. But still, just Prabhupada is making this point. Narad Muni, Haridas Thakur, and similar acharyas, especially empowered to broadcast the glories of the Lord, cannot be brought down to the material platform. Therefore, one is strictly forbidden to think that the acharya is an ordinary man. Gurushu Naramati. Should not think about the guru as ordinary human being. It's an offense. And those who are empowered, they don't come down to the material platform, but others are already in the on the material platform. So we have to be very careful. Okay, I think I'll stop here. Any questions, comments?
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Yeah.
Prabhuji, you mentioned that we should basically try to satisfy Guru.
Yeah.
And I think if we speak of His Holiness Bhakti Vikas Swami Maharaj, he met his Guru only few times.
Mm.
And I think he did lot of research and understood a lot of things and did lot of seva once Prabhupada left.
Mm-hmm.
So we can also understand that one devotee or a disciple might come to exact standards and terms of what a his guru or her guru taught, and by the time guru might also leave the world, right? So
Yeah.
I think the satisfaction of guru can still happen because guru is a tattva, right?
Yeah.
Balram
Yeah.
tattva.
Yeah. Yeah. True.
So is it a right understanding or?
Yeah, it's correct. Absolutely. Srila Prabhupada also, right? I mean, he actually executed his guru's instructions much after Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur had left this material world. Yeah, so that is why the connection is through the parampara, and guru is always considered as the transparent via medium, whether he's here or not here, because he's not material, so it doesn't require him to be here. So he might be here, he might not be here. Now, obviously, right now we've talked about this also. Subsequently, devotees have to make progress from the stage of Vaidhi Bhakti to Raganuga Bhakti, and then at that point of time, actually, that whole transition and that movement further progress actually depends heavily on the guru, on spiritual master. But guru might not be here in front of us,
Yeah. So
but
while
guru's mercy
he,
will be there.
yeah.
Hmm.
So while he is in the material world, we should also make an endeavor to give him satisfaction while he can see the progress. That should be also our
No,
intent. But in
not
case,
see. It's not about see. It's about, it's an opportunity to possibly, I mean, every moment we should be trying to please. So if it is possible to please whenever, as early as possible, it's better. So during that time, if Guru is manifest here, then it's great. Otherwise, also it's fine because Guru yeah. So not that it's not that, okay, he's here, so let me please him. It's not like that. Let me please him. Oh, he's also here, you know. I can do Vapu Seva to him. But Vani Seva doesn't
yeah,
have any restriction at all. As in, you should not think like that. But yeah, that can inspire, motivate somebody saying that, oh, Guru is here, let me please him. Okay, that's fine. But it should not be that, oh, Guru is not here, let me not please him. That's also not correct. So the right way
mm,
of thinking is that I should please Guru, full stop. Whether he's here, not here, it doesn't matter. Is Guru there now? We are somewhere, Guru is somewhere else. Is Guru there with us? Yes and no. If you look at it
yeah,
materially, he's not there. But if you look at it spiritually, he's there. So similarly, whether he's there on this material world, he's in some other material world, he's back to Goloka, based on what his next project is, he's still there.
yeah, yeah. I asked this because being a grahastha, sometimes there is also limited time where you do these services, and once you come to vanaprastha and this thing, you will get more opportunities, right? So just
Hmm.
wanted to understand because by the time guru might not be there, so should we also
No,
try to
no,
do
but that's not the
early?
right understanding, Prabhu. Sorry to say. See, the whole idea, we should always understand this. See, how much we are stuck is also known to the Guru, is known to Parampara, is known to Krishna.
Mm,
Right? See, and like I keep saying, Bhakti Vinod Thakur was a Grihastha. Out of the 12 Mahajanas, seven of them were Grihasthas. Right now, Grihastha is not a disadvantage. It's not to be, we should not coin ourselves saying that I'm Grihastha, so I can't do much.
Mm.
I mean, this is just limiting ourselves. We are just boxing ourselves, saying that I can't do much. But why should we think about it that way? If time is the concern, who is in control of time? Krishna is in control of time. If
Mm.
we are doing avyartha kalatvam, meaning if you are not wasting even 1 second, Krishna will give us mercy. He will give us the time to do it. What do we do on Saturday, Sunday? How much time do we have to give to our family? How much time do we anyway give to our family?
Yeah.
Right? As much as is required. And if we make them devotees, then they're also together with us. Right? So many devotees now in our, in our circles, preaching centers. Now they're all full family. Full family is out. Saturday, Sunday, what is it? Oh, together we'll do service. Right? So there's no holding back. There's nothing like Grihastha means I can't do much or anything like that. And if we are
Mm.
really stuck, if we are really stuck, and but we are sincerely trying, even that is appreciated, even that is recognized. So,
Yeah.
which is why you see ahaituki apratihata, no material condition can hold us back in doing devotional service. It's just our desire. If you
Yeah.
have the desire to do, if you are inspired, then no material situation can stop us. No material situation can stop us. This is the reality. We should be fixed in this thought process.
Yeah.
Okay.
Clear, Prabhuji.
Okay. Anything else, anybody? Okay. Thank you all for joining. श्रीमद् भागवतम की जय, जगत गुरु शिल प्रभुपाद की जय, वांछा कल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिंधु पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः, अनंत कोटि वैष्णव की जय, समवेत गौर भक्त की जय।